Hi there fabric jugglers, it's Babs here from Fiery Phoenix, and today this tutorial is going to be around the binding foot. This is a simple bar attachment binding foot. It has two pins which we use to adjust it, and it can create the most gorgeous binding effect that is evenly stitched on both the top and the reverse. So if you want to know how to use this, if you want to learn my top tip for inserting your binding into the guides, which can be quite tricky to use, then please stick around and watch the rest of this tutorial. So to begin with, we have a ready folded and ready cut piece of binding. The binding is cut at an angle, so it's from the two folds up to the central fold, so that's giving us that nice point, which actually, although you can't quite see it here, makes it that much easier to insert into the actual binding tool. Be aware that the actual feeds start out wide and then become far more narrow to actually hold the binding piece in place, which is what I'm fiddling around with at the moment. So you need to make sure that the binding comes underneath the metal foot. I'm just straightening that up for you, and then we'll attach it to the sewing machine once that is aligned as I want. So you will be placing the fabric that you're binding through the center of that foot. And this is a simple attachment using a standard bar fitting. As you can see, the plastic has a portion off to the right which will hold the binding in place, and as you move your needle up and down, you can work out how closely aligned you are to the edge of your piece of binding. You would use the back screw to actually control that position, so you can untighten it, move it left or right so that the fabric is positioned as you want, and then tighten it back up again so that you've got that alignment before you start sewing your binding around your actual fabric. So what you do is insert the fabric in between the two elements of the binding feeder, which means that it is being securely enveloped by the binding, as you would normally. The difference is that we're not having to pin it this time around. You may need to tweak the top layer. You may want to check the bottom layer for your own sanity to make sure that you are comfortable with that. But it will keep both the top and the bottom layers of the binding neatly in alignment, and it will sandwich your fabric quite happily. It won't be able to work for quilting. The gap between the two layers where it's held is not deep enough for you to actually put wadding and two layers of fabric plus multiple seams. However, it works very nicely if you're working with one or two layers of fabric. When you come to the end, you can't pull it out the front, you can't pull it out the side. You need to raise the foot, loosen the tension and pull it towards the back, and then you can see your stitches and you can double check the front and the reverse. And as you can see, it's very neatly held both sides. We haven't needed to worry too much. It also works very nicely with ribbon. So I've just taken some standard ribbon. Again, we're going to do that end slice with the scissors so that we have that point that makes everything so nice and easy to work with when you insert. It's simpler to do with a one layer ribbon for a piece of binding. You only have the one layer as against the extra folds on the left hand side. Now again, this piece needs to be adjusted, and so we will be using the front screw. I was going to say twiddly thing, but it's actually a screw. You can adjust to the left and right at the back as before, and if you need to adjust the width, you can do that with the front screw. Pushing forward takes it in, pushing backwards takes it out. And again, you just insert your fabric that you're binding between the two layers and carry on stitching. You can, depending upon the type of ribbon that you're using, you can actually position the needle so that it hides the stitching, which is what I was going for in this case. And again, simply loosen the tension, pull it out to the back of the foot, and then snip off. And as you can see, these stitches are very close to the edge and they actually disappear completely on the reverse, which is what I was looking for. And then with the largest possible that I can actually fit through this particular foot, which I think I will measure for you, but that came out at about 1.5 inches once folded. It works just the same. So even if it is a smidgen wide, which this one is, I've done that deliberately, you can still feed it through and you can still get that same neat edge to your binding. So hopefully this has shown you how to use the binding foot. You've got the top tip to slice through at an angle to give you a much easier insertion method for that. And hopefully you will have some confidence in using it. If it's been helpful, please give it a thumbs up and stick around, have a look at other tutorials on the channel. I record new tutorials every Tuesday and Thursday. I have a series of playlists to try and organise some of those tutorials for you as the numbers are growing now quite rapidly. I love hearing your comments and feedback. If you have any questions, please let me know, drop me a message. If you have any suggestions for future tutorials, if there's something that you're not sure about, please, again, drop me a message in the comments and I will add that to my recording schedule. I hope that you'll stick around, and even more wonderful would be if you subscribe, but that's not compulsory in any way. Just if you want to stay in touch with what's going on, then that is the best way to do that, because the tutorials drop into your feed. Thanks for visiting, and I hope you'll be back again sometime soon. Bye for now.